Tennessee reaches 11 wins for the first time since 2001. The Tennessee Volunteers, the 2022 Orange Bowl champions. Alongside Jimmy Hyams, I'm Vince Ferrara. Wow, what a performance by the Tennessee football team. A 31-14 win over the Clemson Tigers in a 6-7 matchup in this New Year's Six Bowl. A huge opportunity, Jimmy, for Tennessee to be able to close this incredible season, flirting with a college football playoff with a huge statement, and they did it against an elite program that is as talented as anyone in the country with their roster.
Well, they did. What a tremendous performance by Tennessee. The defense was outstanding. Even though Clemson moved the ball and got into scoring range, they missed field goals. Tennessee's defense tightened up when it needed to. And I was talking to Jacob Bourne afterward, and product of Farragut, and he said, beating an iconic program like Clemson, he said, I have always wanted to play Clemson in my career, and to beat them in the Orange Bowl and a special night like this, it was really terrific. Byron Young talked about it. He was emotional. He said, I really thought about not playing in this game, but I was committed to my teammates, and he said, I prayed about it. I decided I wanted to play, and man, was it worth it.
Well, I mean, we talked about it all bowl prep long, Jimmy, with Joe Milton being the starting quarterback, that for Tennessee to win, one of the keys of the game is he had to play well. He played well tonight.
He did. He threw for about 250 yards. He had 3 touchdown passes. He on his long balls, I don't really think he hardly overthrew anybody.
One, I think to Brew McCoy, but that's about it. Yeah,
he put it in position where they could make plays. Squirrel White. And by the way, Squirrel White had a heck of a game. If somebody said he's the MVP, I wouldn't argue too much. But he had a tremendous night. I thought Milton played well. He played within himself. And Tennessee had a number of 3-and-outs, maybe a couple of 4-and-outs. But when they got in position, they scored touchdowns. Yeah. When Clemson got in position, they were missing field goals or kicking a couple of field goals. And I thought that was a huge difference. And I think it was one of the players, maybe it was Latrell Bumpus, that told me afterward, he said stopping Clemson from scoring at the end of the first half was huge, and it gave that team a lot of momentum. And also these defensive players talked about it. They had something to prove after that South Carolina game. They were embarrassed by that game. They came back and they shut out Vanderbilt. They came back and they played an outstanding defensive game against Clemson. So, a tip of the cap to that defense.
Yeah, and another part of the defense, I asked Josh Heupel about this in the postgame, was why did your defense play better? And one of the things he pointed to is we tackled better. They played leverage better. They're in the right position. They're good with their reads. He said they weren't perfect. The PIs, defensive PIs, he wasn't crazy about those, but they did a lot of things better. And Jimmy, in some games this year, they have played pretty good defense. It's just the ones that were bad, they were really bad. Yeah. That wasn't the case tonight at all.
And it seems like when you're bad, people remember that, right?
Right.
But they had a lot of really good games. I mean, if you want to talk about the LSU game, or you want to talk about Kentucky, Vanderbilt tonight against Clemson, they played real well. So I was really impressed with what they were able to do, what they were able to accomplish. Byron Young even made a mention that the defense had a lot to prove because people kept telling him, well, you may be winning, but you didn't do this, but you didn't do that, but you gave up a lot of passing yards. And he said we wanted to silence some of those critics, and I think they did. But here's Clemson running 101 plays to 66.
Yep.
And yet they gave up 484 yards, but they made the stops when they needed to. I was just blown away by Tennessee's defense. I thought they were terrific.
Aaron Beasley, a couple sacks and 4 tackles for loss in the first half. He was everywhere. Pressure on Klubnik. Yeah. He was bailing out of the pocket and throwing off his back foot. I mean, they really affected the game at the line of scrimmage.
If you had said Beasley's MVP of the game, I wouldn't argue with that either.
I agree.
I remember Beasley before the game said, hey, I'm coming back. He said, I really need to learn to play the linebacker position well. I really don't know all the nuances of playing linebacker. Really?
Yeah.
I mean, what he did tonight was unbelievable. And I thought Tim Banks did a great job. I thought he dialed up a couple of blitzes that allowed Beasley to come through free, unblocked, with a little bit of a stunt. Yeah. So even in the first half, Beasley had, 4 tackles for loss and 2 sacks?
Right.
I mean, he was a wrecking ball. I thought he played really well.
Well, one of the interesting things that Josh Heupel said in the post game, and all that content coming in 991thesportsanimal.com, and of course, John and Jimmy will have it on Sports Talk next week, is he said the future is freaky bright for Tennessee. And he was asked to clarify that, talked about the recruiting and how the best is yet to come for a lot of guys on their roster. And that for Tennessee fans to get to 11 wins in Josh Heupel's second season, win a New Year's Six Bowl, and have your coach say that the future is freaky bright, where's that going to put expectations for next year? Freaky high, right?
High, yeah. And so when we get to the season, he's going to say, I don't know, we might win 8 games. He's going to have to downplay it a little bit.
Right.
No, but that's not his nature.
No,
it really isn't. He's competitive. He's done a marvelous job. I talked to 2 players today, one of them being Hendon Hooker, who was injured and couldn't play. He said, I had to be here for my brothers. But he said, to think about it, when he committed, Tennessee was a 3-win team. Mm-hmm. And then right after that, the coach gets fired, NCAA violations and all that. And it's just a marvelous ride for Hooker. He praised Josh Heupel a lot for turning around the culture and getting Tennessee to this level in a short period of time. I mean, it's been remarkable. It's a great story to see what Josh Heupel has done with this program. You mentioned the first time 11 wins since 2001. Yeah. It's only the 9th time in school history they've won 11. That's pretty impressive.
And as you know, Jimmy, they've beaten 3 of the last 4 national champions, Clemson, Alabama, and LSU. And it's just incredible to think what this team has accomplished. What else about the game jump out to you tonight?
It jumped out to me that Cade Klubnik, one, Tennessee put a lot of pressure on him. Yeah. He was under duress almost the whole game. The other thing that surprised me a lot, he threw 54 passes and he ran 20 times. Now, a couple of those were sacks.
Right.
He was involved in 74 plays. He was involved in more plays than Tennessee had snaps. Yeah. But the defense making the stops when it needed to. Tennessee, and then I thought in the second half, Tennessee could smell the victory. I mean, they were not going to let this get away. And the defense made a couple of plays when it needed to late to put this game away. But I just thought it was a great performance by Tennessee. Milton showed you flashes. I didn't think he was spectacular, but I thought he played within himself.
Right.
And that's what he needs to do for Tennessee. So just overall a really solid performance by Tennessee.
Well, a lot more to break down on this game as we'll be back on the air next week after the holiday weekend. And there's a lot to discuss going into this offseason, but certainly it helps for Tennessee fans when you're coming off of this kind of successful season. So all our coverage, 99.1, thesportsanimal.com video and audio of all the postgame and reaction and so much more in what's been an exciting 11-2 season for the Tennessee Volunteers, a 31-14 win over the Clemson Tigers. Tennessee, your Orange Bowl champions, and head into the offseason with a whole lot of not only success, momentum, but also expectations probably for next year.
They're going to be freaky good.
They will. And you're going to get a lot of phone calls about them being freaky good, and you might have to try to talk them off that ledge. But, hey, better that than a lot of struggles that we have seen. All right, that'll do it from beautiful Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. It's been a fun week. Hope you've enjoyed all of our coverage. Thanks to all of our sponsors. You can see all of those in our description of this video. Go to our website, 991thesportsanimal.com, to link to all those and thank them for making our coverage possible. That'll wrap it up from Miami Gardens, Florida. Tennessee defeats Clemson 31-14. For Jimmy Hyams, I'm Vince Ferrara. Thanks for watching. Have a happy and safe New Year, and we'll talk to you soon. See ya.